Premier League champions, Europa League champions, Club World Cup champions, Carabao Cup winners, Man City revenge, reborn Manchester United, and title contender Arsenal. Last season's Premier League? Boring, predictable, and honestly hard to watch. But this new season, it's looking like a full-blown war. Every team is reloaded, every manager has a point to prove, and this might just be the hardest Premier League season we've ever seen. Let's get into it. Last season was rough. The Premier League didn't live up to its reputation, and fans could feel it. There was a clear dip in excitement, drama, and unpredictability. The numbers prove it. Viewership dropped by 10%. That's not just a stat, that's people tuning out because the product wasn't delivering. Liverpool ran away with the title way too early. City? They looked like a shadow of themselves. United were painful to watch. Chelsea didn't even act like they wanted to compete. Arsenal got close again, but collapsed under pressure. And Tottenham ended 17th. 17th! That's just one place above the drop zone. There was no real title race, no fierce competition at the top, and too many of the big teams just weren't playing at their best. It became predictable, and predictability kills excitement in football. That's exactly why people started looking away. But this season, everything's different. The top teams have woken up, they've fixed their issues, spent smartly in the transfer window, and they're coming back with serious intent. This time, we might get that intense neck-and-neck race we've all been missing. And it starts with the last Premier League champions. Liverpool might have won the Premier League last season, but Arne Slot wasn't fooled by the trophy. He saw the cracks, he knew that relying on Mohamed Salah every single week wasn't sustainable. Salah practically dragged that team through the finish line in the league. Nunez couldn't find form. Jota, who would have been a key part of their attack, was lost to a tragic car accident, and once Trent left for Real Madrid, the backline had clear gaps. So, Slot acted, fast and decisively. He started with the attack. He brought in Florian Wirtz, a midfielder who doesn't just create, he scores. Wirtz adds goals from deep, the kind of player Liverpool has missed since Coutinho. Then came Hugo Ekitike, one of the few bright spots in Frankfurt's attack last season. He's not just there to fill space, he's there to replace the goals Nunez couldn't provide. But Slot didn't stop there. Losing Trent Alexander-Arnold was massive, not just defensively, but creatively. So, instead of trying to replace Trent, he went with a different approach, a more aggressive, forward-minded right-back who fits his system better. On the left, he added Kirkez, a fullback who gives them both defensive security and width in the attack. What Slot's done is shift the entire dynamic of the team. He hasn't just patched holes, he's elevated the system. He's built a team that doesn't rely on moments of brilliance from one man. He's created a structure where goals, creativity, and intensity can come from anywhere. Liverpool aren't just defending their crown, they're coming back sharper, deeper, and a lot more balanced. And with the rest of the league strengthening, they had no choice but to step it up. Next up, Manchester City, trophyless, wounded, but probably more dangerous than ever. But before we get into that, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. It's strange even saying this, but Manchester City went trophyless last season. No Premier League, no Champions League, not even a domestic cup. And the reason wasn't hard to figure out. The core of that all-conquering City side was starting to fade. Let's start with the midfield. Kevin De Bruyne struggled with fitness. Gundogan, who was crucial in tight games, had already left. And even Rodri, the heartbeat of their midfield, missed significant time. Without those three, City lacked control. They couldn't dominate matches the way they usually do. Add to that a defense hit by injuries, and suddenly Pep's well-oiled machine didn't look so smooth. But Pep Guardiola isn't the kind of manager who sits still. This summer, he moved quickly to rebuild his midfield. He brought in Ryan Cherki, a player with De Bruyne's vision and flair, but with younger legs. Thierry Reinders came in to take over Gundogan's role, offering composure, drive, and an eye for late runs into the box. And with Rodri returning fully fit, City's midfield looks complete again, more dynamic, more aggressive, and more layered. Defensively, they've also addressed their depth. No more playing fullbacks as centre-backs or rotating constantly just to patch holes. holes. They've brought in extra defenders with pace and physicality to avoid the kind of soft goals that cost them key matches last season. City may have fallen short, but they've responded like a team that knows how to win and isn't ready to give up that identity. And with this refreshed squad, you can't count them out. Now, let's talk about a team that was right there until the final stretch, but just couldn't finish the job. Arsenal. For most of last season, they looked ready. The hunger was visible, the structure was solid, and the belief was real. But as the pressure piled up in the final stretch, they couldn't hold on. And it wasn't just one thing, it was a mixture of familiar issues. They started dropping points in games they should have closed out. A string of late draws, some frustrating missed chances, and key injuries at the wrong time opened the door. And when that door opened, Liverpool ran right through it. Arsenal's title hopes faded because the fine margins that define champions slipped away from them again. But this summer, Mikel Arteta wasn't wasting time. He went straight for the problems. First, the attack. One of the biggest gaps last season was the lack of a clinical finisher. So, they went out and signed Victor Gyökeres. He's not flashy, he's efficient. He finishes the chances that used to go begging. That's what they needed. Then came squad depth. When Saka got overplayed or slightly injured, there was no real replacement. That's where Noni Madueke comes in. A proper backup who offers speed, directness, and goal threat on sight. At the back, injuries to players like Gabriel left them exposed. So, they brought in Mosquera, a young, aggressive, and comfortable, playing in a high line. What Arteta's done is built a squad that's not just good when fully fit, but good even under pressure. He's added options that allow rotation without dipping quality. Arsenal aren't just hopeful anymore, they're built for the long haul. And if they don't fall apart in the run-in this time, they might go all the way. Next up is a team that's quietly gaining serious momentum, Chelsea. Chelsea might not have made much noise in the league last season, but they've been quietly building something under the radar. They had a strong run in the Conference League, and winning the Club World Cup wasn't just a trophy, it was a statement. The direction is finally clear, and the rebuild is starting to look serious. One thing Chelsea needed to fix was their attack. For 2 straight seasons, they struggled without a proper number 9 and a consistent left winger. That's where it always fell apart. Position without purpose, build-up without a finish. But this time, they moved fast. The moment the window opened, they went for it. Jamie Bino Gittins was brought in to solve the left wing issue, a direct, technical player with the ability to stretch defenses. Then they doubled down and signed Pedro and Liam Delap, giving them proper options at striker. Delap especially offers a physical presence they've lacked since the days of Diego Costa. What's even more impressive is how balanced the squad looks now. The midfield is more organised, the backline is stable, and with those attacking additions, Chelsea finally have the tools to control games and finish them off. They're not perfect just yet, but they're a lot more dangerous than people realise. And if they can carry their European form into the league, they're going to be right back in the mix, possibly even ahead of schedule. Now, let's shift to a club that's been stuck in a downward spiral. Manchester United. Manchester United was simply not good enough last season. 15th in the league, lost the Europa League final, played some of the worst football we've seen from them in years, and despite all of that, they stuck with the same manager. Now, on the surface, that decision looked strange, but when you look deeper, it wasn't just about the manager, it was the squad. The team lacked identity, chemistry, and most importantly, quality in key areas. There were no consistent threats on the wings, the midfield was flat, and the defense leaked goals under pressure. It was a mess. This season, though, it's clear they're trying to change that fast. The manager is on thin ice, and he knows it. That's why this summer has been all about fixing the attack first. And so far, they've brought in Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, 2 players who know the league, can score, and work hard without the ball. Cunha gives them a direct, aggressive forward who won't disappear in big matches. Mbeumo brings goals, pace, and discipline from the flanks, something United desperately lacked last season. It's not a full rebuild, but it is a start. They're aiming to shift the mood around the club and bring some fight back into the team. The question is whether it's enough and whether the players are ready to respond. If they aren't, things could get even worse. But while United are trying to recover, another club is quietly planning a comeback of its own: Tottenham. Tottenham's 2024-25 season was a disaster. 17th place, 1 place above relegation. It was their worst league finish in decades, and the squad looked completely lost. No identity, no fight, no structure. But to their credit, the club didn't sit still. They made bold changes. The first and most important decision was bringing in Thomas Frank. Now, this is a manager who made Brentford a nightmare for big teams with far fewer resources. He's tactically sharp, gets the best out of players, and doesn't back down from pressure. And now that he's finally got a team with budget, expectations, and the platform to push for something bigger like a Champions League spot, then came the transfers. Tottenham didn't just tweak the squad, they overhauled it. The headline signing was Mohamed Kudus from West Ham. That's a game changer. He immediately upgrades their left side, brings goals, unpredictability, and technical quality. With Kudus on one flank and Brennan Johnson now more versatile, able to be rotated or used centrally, Spurs have options. And more importantly, they have a plan. For the first time in a while, there's some structure in place. The chaos has been toned down. The manager knows what he wants. And with the players they've brought in, Tottenham suddenly look like a team that can push for top 4, not just survive. But it's not just about the traditional top 6 anymore, because teams like Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brighton, and Brentford, they're building something serious too. One thing that's become very clear over the past few seasons is that the Premier League is no longer a top 6 league, it's a top 10 fight. And last season proved that again. Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brighton, and Brentford all finished in the top 10, with Newcastle and Villa finishing 5th and 6th. These teams aren't here to make up the numbers, they're competing, and they're doing it with clear strategies. Let's start with Newcastle. Yes, they lost Alexander Isak to Liverpool this summer, and that's a big blow. There's no way around that. But if there's one thing Newcastle has shown under Eddie Howe, it's that they know how to recruit smart. They don't panic, they scout properly, and they get the right players for the system. And this time, they've brought in Anthony Elanga, who looked sharp last season and has the pace, directness, and hunger to make an impact. Newcastle may have lost the star, but they haven't lost their direction. Then we also have Aston Villa, who were one of the most consistent sides last season. They finished 6th and played with structure and intensity under Unai Emery. He's taken this team from mid-table to Europe in no time, and they've kept building in the right areas. Villa are no longer dark horses, they're contenders now, especially with what they almost pulled off last season. Brighton, as usual, continues to evolve. They've lost a few players again, but that's nothing new. Brighton's recruitment model is still solid, and they've built a squad that plays with confidence, regardless of who's on the pitch. Brentford has also entered a new era, with Thomas Frank now managing Tottenham. Keith Andrews has taken over, and while that is a big change, the club's football structure remains strong. Brentford is one of the smartest clubs in England when it comes to analytics and player developments. The foundation is there, and if Andrews adapts well, they're not going anywhere. These teams have built long-term projects, and they've proven they can compete across an entire season. If any of the traditional powerhouses slip, even slightly, they'll be ready to take full advantage. And with that many teams loading up for the season, the fight for the title, top 4, and even the top 10 is about to get brutal. But what do you think? Which teams will top the league this season? Well, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also check out our latest video. Thank you.